Hello and welcome back to our channel where we try to present historical facts from another perspective. Don't forget to subscribe for more history lessons. Each subscriber means a lot for the development of the YouTube channel. The Battle of Stalingrad. The battle was fought between the German army and the Soviet Union from August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943, in the city of Stalingrad. In this video, we will take a closer look at how the battle began, why it started, the commanders involved, the number of soldiers from both sides, the casualties, and how the battle was fought. We will also discuss the Uranus operation, which played a crucial role in the Soviet Union's victory. Today, we want to present to you one of the most known battles of World War II, the Battle of Stalingrad. This battle is considered the turning point of the Eastern Campaign of World War II, and it is also known to be the bloodiest battle of history with more than 2 million casualties. Before we dive into our presentation, we need to remember the context of the world at that time. It was the second year of the war between the USSR and Nazi Germany, and the front looked quite stable. The Stavka, or High Command of the Armed Forces of the Soviet Union, and Joseph Stalin were waiting for the Nazis to strike in the summer, and their waiting was a major blow in the direction of Moscow. But the Nazi dictator had another idea. Hitler was at the time pressed by supply problems, especially fuel shortages. He looked for the Caucasus oil fields, which were the USSR's main oil supplier. Therefore, if he could take the Caucasus, he would do two things in one go. He would have no more fuel problems and the USSR would lose more than 60% of its oil reserves. Short presentation. The German High Command imagines a plan to take over the oil fields in the Caucasus in the summer of 1942, which was called Case Blue or Operation Blue. The German summer offensive would be made by Army Group South, which was split into two. Army Group A with the main objective of advancing into the Caucasus and capturing the oil fields. Army Group B had as its main objectives the conquest of Stalingrad and at the same time protecting the flank of Army Group A, which should take over the oil fields from Baku in the Caucasus. Army Group A was led by Field Marshal Wilhelm List and was composed of the 1st Panzer Army, the 17th Army, the 3rd Romanian Army, and the 11th Army. Army Group B was led at the beginning by General Feldmarschall Maximilian von of Wakes, and it was composed of 2nd Army led by General Hans von Salmuth, 4th Panzer Army General Hermann Hoth, 6th Army led by General Friedrich Paulus, Hungarian 2nd Army led by Colonel General Vitez Gustav Jany, Romanian 4th Army, Luftflotte 4 or Air Fleet 4, led by Wolfram Freiherr von Richthofen. Despite its knowledge of German plans, the Soviet Army Command, Stavka, could not preempt the direction of the main German strategic offensive expected in 1942. On June 19, the commander-in-chief of the 23rd Panzer Division, Major Joachim Reichel, was shot down over Soviet airspace while flying an observation plane over the Kharkiv front. The Soviets obtained maps from his plane, detailing Germany's exact plans for Case Blue. The plan was handed over to Stavka in Moscow. However, Joseph Stalin believed this to be a German trick and was convinced that Moscow was Germany's main strategic target in 1942. As a result, most of the Red Army was stationed there, but the direction from which Case Blue's attack was coming was defended by the Bryansk, Southwest, South, and North Caucasus fronts. With about 1 million soldiers on the front line and 1.7 million in reserves, their army made up about a quarter of the total Soviet army. After Case Blue's disastrous start in the Soviet Union, they reorganized the front several times. As the campaign progressed, the Soviets also joined the Voronezh, Don, Stalingrad, Transcaucasian, and Caucasian fronts, but not all at the same time. The Soviet commanders at that time were Bryansk Front Ground and Aviation Commanders, Philippi, Golikov and Stepan Y. Krasovsky, and the Southwestern Front Ground and Aviation Commanders Semyon K. Timoshenko and Timofey T. Kryakin. Case Blue or Operation Blue. As we previously presented, the operation was aimed at securing the oil fields of the Caucasus and cutting off the major industrial centers of the Soviet Union. It began on June 28, 1942, as a follow-up to Operation Barbarossa, the initial invasion of the Soviet Union. The primary goal of Operation Blue was to secure the oil resources in the Caucasus region, which were crucial for the German war effort. The operation involved two army groups, Army Group A and Army Group B, which were led by Field Marshal Wilhelm List and General Maximilian von Wakes. Army Group A was responsible for capturing the oil fields, while Army Group B was tasked with protecting the southern flank of the operation and advancing toward the Volga River. Initially, the German army made significant progress, capturing key cities and territories in the region. However, the campaign soon became bogged down due to logistical and supply problems, as well as fierce resistance from the Soviet Union. The German army's advance was also slowed down by the difficult terrain and harsh weather conditions. Despite these challenges, the German army managed to capture several key cities and oil fields, including Rostov-on-Don, Maykop, and Grozny. However, the German advance was ultimately halted at Stalingrad, where the Soviet Union put up a stubborn defense. The operation in the Caucasus will be discussed in a future video, so don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with our new videos. The Battle of Stalingrad. The Battle of Stalingrad began when the German army launched an attack on the city of Stalingrad, which was a crucial industrial center in the Soviet Union, and at the same time an important supply node. The Germans had been looking for oil fields from the Caucasus and believed that capturing Stalingrad would provide them with a strategic advantage. The battle began on August 23, 1942, when the German Army Group South was divided into two groups, A and B, and started attacking the city from the north and south. Commanders and soldiers. The German army was led by General Friedrich Paulus, who was in command of the 6th Army. The 4th Panzer Army, led by General Hermann Hoth, provided support from the south. The German army had around 330,000 soldiers, while the Soviet Union had about 1.1 million soldiers under the command of General Georgy Zhukov, who was appointed as the commander of the Stalingrad front. Battle of Stalingrad begins. Russian forces were initially able to slow the German Wehrmacht's advances during a series of brutal skirmishes just north of Stalingrad. Stalin's forces lost more than 200,000 men, but they successfully held off German soldiers. Deeply aware of Hitler's plans, the Russians had already removed most of the food and livestock from Stalingrad. However, the city's more than 400,000 residents were not evacuated because Russian leaders believed their presence would strengthen the army. Within days of the attack, the Luftwaffe made the Volga impassable, sinking several Russian merchant ships. From the end of August until the end of the attack, the Luftwaffe carried out dozens of air raids on the city. The number of civilian casualties is unknown. However, tens of thousands are believed to have been killed, and tens of thousands more were captured and forced into slave labor in refugee camps in Germany. By September, the Luftwaffe largely controlled the skies over Stalingrad, and the Russians were desperate. Urban workers not involved in the production of war-related weapons, often without weapons of their own, were quickly drafted into the fray. Women were drafted to dig trenches at the front. However, the Russians continued to suffer heavy losses. In the fall of 1942, Stalingrad lay in ruins. Not a step back. Despite heavy losses and heavy Luftwaffe bombing operations, Stalin instructed his troops in the city not to retreat, and in Order No. 227 he issued the famous order, "Don't step back." Those who surrendered were to be court-martialed and could be executed. With less than 20,000 soldiers and less than 100 tanks in the city, Stalin's generals finally began sending reinforcements into the city and surrounding areas. Battles raged in the streets of Stalingrad, with both sides using snipers on the roofs of the city's buildings. The battles in Stalingrad were fought in the streets, buildings, and factories of the city. The Germans had a tactical advantage at the beginning of the battle, but the Soviets were able to hold on to the city, block by block. The Germans used artillery and air power to destroy buildings and infrastructure, but the Soviets used tunnels and trenches to move around the city and launch surprise attacks. Russian generals Georgy Zhukov and Alexander Vasilevsky organized Russian troops in the mountains north and west of the city. From there they launched a counteroffensive known as Operation Uranus.